How's it going, everybody? Rob here, back with another video. And with this one, well, we are going to be doing another review type video. A quick review. And we're going to talk about Ultraman, or Ultraman Rising. As it reads in IMDb, Ken Sato, a superstar baseball player who returns to Japan to become the latest hero to carry the mantle of Ultraman. However, he is compelled to raise a newborn kaiju monster, the offspring of his greatest enemy, as his own child. So, that is the bio for IMDb for this movie, and I gotta say, it is, yeah, it's actually kind of to the point of that. It was directed by Shannon Tyndall, hopefully I said that correctly. John Aoshima, hopefully I said that correctly. Written by Shannon Tyndall and Mark Jaimes. Hopefully I probably screwed that up. I apologize. Starring Christopher Sean, Tamlin Tomita, and Rob Fukuzaki, and many, many others. So, first off, I gotta say right off the bat, this is my first introduction to the Ultraman character. I know there's been a lot of stuff in the past. All I know about, or at least all I knew about Ultraman, was he was a superhero that could grow in size to fight kaiju monsters. And that was the major premise of Ultraman. I think at one point he did fight Godzilla. I could be wrong. Somebody let me know in the chat if I'm wrong on that. But the biggest thing was he fought monsters. That was my basic premise of what Ultraman was. And I will say, I saw the trailer for this and I was kind of intrigued because it looked nice. Animation looked really good. Characters looked unique. Each and every one of them looked, very, very unique. And the, oh my gosh, the little baby kaiju is kind of adorable. And there's I would say references to old monster movies, which is pretty great. First off, I want to talk about the main character. Because yes, it is set up that this character is the offspring of one of the original Ultraman, who is traumatized by a particular kaiju fight, and at one point separates himself from his father, his mother. As far as I could guess from the movie, either died or went missing. I gotta rewatch it to kind of get a full context of what happened. But the mom is out of the picture. There's resentment towards the dad. Ken, although he is, the son of Ultraman and has a love for baseball, he went for the baseball route. And the only reason he became Ultraman was apparently, as far as I could see, his dad, who was the original Ultraman, was injured severely, so he had to take on the mantle, though it is not very good at it, so to speak. In fact, I would say towards the very beginning, the Ken Sato character is, for a lack of a better word, kind of a prick. I hate to say that, but it's no, he's kind of he's full of himself. He's kind of an ass. It's to the point where during one of his baseball games, and the kaiju that basically traumatized him shows up, he takes it on, fights it, or at least tries to get it out of the city, and comes across this object that the kaiju was holding. And it was an egg. More specifically, an egg that is the offspring of the kaiju that traumatized him. So, fun. So, kind of thrown into this whole scenario, he ends up kind of raising it. It, in a way, kind of imprinting on him. Well, imprinting on Ultraman, and after a little bit of um, hilarity, so to speak, she does realize, or at least because they actually mentioned that the kaiju is a she. They do end up figuring out that Ken is Ultraman, and recognizes that both Ultraman and Ken are one and the same. Um, at one point, we have a moment where kaiju, but Ken starts to kind of, his heart a little bit begins to melt and kind of mature when he starts interacting more and more with this little kaiju. There's a couple instances where his dad starts showing up, and is, again, I would say, in terms of like anger, I don't know if I can say it was justified or not. I can understand the frustration, but there's a point where, especially with like the fact that, you know, your dad is freaking Ultraman, not things aren't going to go as they seem sometimes. That's the best way I could describe it. But later on in the film, there's a point where the dad does get involved. Tensions between Ken and his father start to subside. Well, at least tension from Ken to his father start to subside when they interact more with each other. And eventually leading to towards the climax where they fight the big bad, which is more likely not another kaiju. Well, there is another kaiju, but more specifically, this government organization that's trying to hunt down the baby in order to get to this place called Kaiju Island. So, all in all, like, a lot of the stuff that we see is really good. I gotta compliment animation first off, or at least continuing with this review. First, every single one of these characters, if one thing I'm gonna say about the animation is the style. Every single one of these characters that you see in this movie, each and every one, I love that, like, for a lot of different animation films, they don't go for like a base shape for characters, and instead what they do is they actually go for a variety of different like shapes, you guys know what I mean, like body types, so on. And it's clear to see who's who. I know, like, in terms of Ken, I mean, he's a baseball player. He's going to be, you know, skinny, kind of built. His dad, a little bit older. You see him walking with a walker. His face is covered with a mustache, kind of bent back, bent forward a little bit. You have the character Aito, who is very slender, very, I want to say very, I don't want to say manipulative, more of he's in control. He's wearing like like, for the most part, wearing a traditional kimono for like the most of the movie, and also wearing sunglasses. I kind of laughed at that a little bit. The fact that he was wearing, you know, he's wearing a traditional kimono, or I think it was. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm pretty sure that's what it was, and or a male kimono. And unless I'm saying the word wrong, and if it's the wrong word, please let me know. With you know, like these really dark sunglasses, so you can't see his eyes throughout most of the film. Then there's the little kaiju baby, which they name Emmy, and oh my gosh, that thing is adorable. I can understand like people being like scared of it, considering it's like what, like 20-30 feet. And you see it have a little, like, running around. Like, there's this one scene where she escapes the compound for Ultraman, and it's running around. It just wants to play. That's all it's trying to do. It just wants to play, and you see it run around looking for Ken, and seeing like a freaking blimp with an ad for one of his drinks, and she follows it. Or seeing a visual screen with his face. It was hilarious for the first part of it. after towards the end of that whole sequence, I will say it hurts, both for you emotionally and for Emmy. And I don't want to go into details on that. Just I would say I would ask you guys to watch it. The bonding moments with the dad, and I'm going into characters too. The bonding moments with the dad and Ken were really, really they felt genuine. They felt really good. Going back to animation, there are moments where it really shines with the use of color, the use of I would say like the different effects. Like there's this one when Emmy is first revealed. There's like this fade, like a cloud fade of like a colorful sky with a crescent moon. It looks nice. It looks really freaking nice. There's a point where Ken thinks that his dad's dead or hurt, and he goes like the color changes to like red and black, as if he's going into a blind rage, turning into Ultraman, which is it looks really, really nice. All in all, this was, and also some of the moments that kind of caught my eye in terms of like I would say almost like Easter eggs. Like for instance, there's a moment where Emmy is listening to music, and she does this little hop that Godzilla used to do in the old Godzilla movies. It looks really it's adorable. It's adorable that she actually mimics that. All in all, I gotta say, story itself is interesting. Animation, I love it. I think that's like the best aspect of this film for me is animation, and it visually looks nice. In terms of music, I don't know if it was okay. And characters, although I will say I kind of did not want to follow Ken towards the beginning, where he's kind of his prick self towards the beginning. I did kind of like the fact that he was like the moments he started to bond with Emmy and then bond with his dad, and in some sense kind of bleeding into his career as a baseball player. I will say that was the point where I started to like him. And started to, appreciate his character. Although I will say that I feel that some of his anger and frustration might have been unjustified in terms of the circumstances involving, his dad being Ultraman and what happened. So, anyway, I think if I were to give this a rating for Ultraman Rising, I have to give it... I'm going to have to give it a 7. Mostly, again, I love the animation. I think that is... Animation and character design is my biggest like compliment for this game. For this, I almost said game. For this movie. The story, I would say, like, almost halfway through is really nice. Because that's the point where you have the characters kind of bonding with this little creature, and Ken, like, kind of growing and showing his growth through his interactions with not just the kaiju, but also his dad. Towards the beginning, I wasn't a fan of his character. But all in all, I will say it is a decent movie, and as much as I would love to give it a higher rating, I'm just gonna have to stick it to a strong 7 out of 10. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good movie. And I'll say that after like the initial after like a good chunk of like the beginning, it does get better and better. So, anyway, I think with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If there's anything you would like to add, please leave in the comments down below. Especially if I screwed up on anything. I really do appreciate that. If you guys want to follow us on all of our socials, it's all in the description down below. As well as, please, check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one. Take care. And I'll see you guys next video.